Hello, footies. Welcome along to your latest dose of Ultimate Team podcasting goodness. We are Foot in Review, powered by footcoaching.com. My name is Dan Wimbush, otherwise known as Wimby. I will be joined by my main man, Shaq Attack, for episode 630. We're recording this around midday UK time on the 15th of October 2024. Thank you so much to everyone for being with us. On today's show, we have Title Update 3, which is quite possibly one of the biggest sets of patch notes we have ever seen for an FC or a FIFA title release. It almost feels like FC25 version 2.0. We're going to get into all of that. We've got our regular features, including player in review to come as well. We'll give it a little bit of an overview of how our weeks have gone on this game and much, much more. But Shaq, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Dan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate. I thought, I was thinking, Nath can't be with us today. Nath is away on holiday today, so that is why our Tuesday club is down by 33%. But I was thinking, well, what are we going to talk about today? I've kind of come back down from the ledge. I'm doing all right now in the game. Everything's kind of settled down. And then yesterday, it's almost like one of those scenes in typical like sitcoms and stuff where the boss walks past and thumps down a big stack of papers on your desk and says, I need that done by 5. Which is how it felt when this patch notes were released yesterday, Shaq. So suddenly like, oh, come on.
That's right.
So yeah, we've got absolutely loads to talk about it. But I mean, how are you? I think you've had a little bit of you've taken a step back from the game.
I'm actually trying to be a bit of a casual myself, and casual with air quotes. I'm doing a foot podcast, so how casual can I be? But I'm trying to take an approach that I thought I wanted to take this year, where I play when I want to play. I do what I want to do. I'm not going to grind everything. I'm going to grind what I feel like grinding. And yeah, I qualified for champs, went 4-1, and just decided not to play champs, just to stick it to hoop. But I just didn't want to play champs. I just didn't want the pressure. I had a busy weekend this weekend. I wanted to touch some grass. I just wanted to do stuff. And I thought, you know what? There's nothing incentivizing to me to play champs, and I took a break.
How easy was it, though, to silence that little voice in the back of your head? Or your PS5 whispering at you in the corner?
It was so hard. I think it was particularly hard when I actually was playing some EAFC at some point in the night. And it just said, why don't you just get 2 wins? What's the worst that can happen? Get 2 wins. And I knew if I went for the 2 wins, it would become 4, it would become 6, and I'd be screaming that I missed out on 8 yeah. So it was good. But it was good to resist the temptation.
Excellent. Well, it's great to have you here as always. And thank you as well to people listening in live. Again, remember, if you are a Discord member for the Foot in Review podcast, you get to listen to the show live. We send out a link as we record this, being a member of the Discord is absolutely free. But if you want to go the extra mile and be a real legend in our eyes, be an icon, if you will, of this podcast, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/foot in review. You get a host of extra benefits. And the biggest thing of all, you get undying love from myself and Shaq and others because you directly help support this. We live in an economy where, we love providing this content for you, but I'm not going to lie. None of us can lie. Having that people go, do you know what? I think that's worth paying for is, extra good. So thank you to those of you who do continue to put your hand in your pocket. But again, we realize that times are tight for everybody. So those of you who support us in other ways via socials, leaving us reviews, spreading word of mouth, that is equally valuable to us as well. So thank you. Right, Shaq, let's get into it. Let's look at that gigantic stack of papers on our desk. It is Title Update 3. Now, before we get too deep into this, it is very worth as much. Can't even get my words out. I'm going to caveat this whole discussion by saying at the moment, EA have stated that this update is only coming to PS4 and Xbox One versions of the games, what you would call old gen versions. And at the moment, they've not explicitly said within the patch notes that this will be coming to other versions of the games at a later date. So Shaq, it's worth saying that because again, that might mean that EA are doing different tweaks to next gen, or it could just be a case of, they just haven't communicated that in this update.
Exactly. It's weird that they haven't actually put that information out there, but you would expect that most of the things that they picked up on here would translate across to the current gen as well. I think there might be a few exceptions where they might add a few more things or remove a thing here or there, but that's pretty much it. I think some of the things that are earmarked to actually improve our gameplay are pretty pertinent and required, so I don't see it being too different.
Yeah, look, I copied and pasted the patch notes just into a Word document, just the main section, and it came to 5 pages in length. So look, I don't want to spend 30 minutes plus. I think I watched Nepenthes analysing it earlier, and I think it took him 25 minutes to get through this. So I don't really want to spend too long on it. But let's jam through the bits that we think are important. Now, we'll go through the following gameplay changes. They have reduced the accuracy of first-time lobbed through passes, including when performed at extreme angles. This change is most noticeable for players with high passing attributes. Needed change or not?
Not particularly, but I think there was a time where the long ball pass meta plays were really being used heavily. So maybe just nerfs some of those moves, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I did think it was slightly unrealistic. I remember using Lewis Wing when I was evoing him up, and his passing stats were only in the kind of the 70s and 80s, and he was able to pull off these first-time wonder through balls in squad battles and things like that. And as much as I love that, it did get annoying when the shoe was on the other foot. So I think that's fair enough. Greatly reduced potential accuracy of Travellas. I don't think there's going to be too many people complaining about this one.
No, I think it really does your head in when you're trying to block a guy from scoring, and all they do is just go further and further away from you and just score a banging Travella from miles away, and it goes into the back of the net. That is infuriating. So I'm happy for that.
Yeah, some people were arguing that, oh, well, look, it's one of the few weapons we've got against deep-sitting formations of firebacks and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was a little bit too powerful. And again, hopefully some of the other changes should kind of balance out that equation, which includes greatly increased the width of the defensive line for 5 defender formations.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. This is just, I think, full confession, at one point in time, I did play the 5 at the back, and I did realize that it was very ratty, but it was getting boring and monotonous, so I switched it up, went to 4 at the back, and whenever I come across a 5 at the back, the stack that you get just outside the box is painful. So this is going to be really good, really, really good.
Yeah, playing 5 backs at the moment really increases that need for you to be uber patient. And coupled with, again, some of the AI things that they've addressed later on, it was making it far too overpowered. So I'm glad they're going to do that. And as the note says, it will just make it wider. So there should be increased gaps between those centre backs and the full backs. So you'll be able to sort of trigger runs and get them behind a lot easier. And you won't just have that massive clump in the middle of the defence trying to work through. One thing that I'm maybe a little bit disappointed at is the next point, reduce the potential accuracy of driven passes. I didn't think driven passes were a particular issue, but again, that might be biased because I use them a lot, Shaq.
I also need to question as well, have you used a player with ping pass?
Yes, I think so.
And will ping pass playstyle plus?
No, I think it was just grey one.
Because I haven't used anyone with the ping pass, and I just was wondering if they were really overpowered, like the long ball pass was overpowered with, in the game. So maybe that's what I'm assuming. Because I haven't used anyone with ping pass playstyle plus, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, even though it doesn't make any sense to me because I have not really experienced the passing to be good. So yeah.
And this is one of the things with EA patch notes that are often infuriating, is that it just says reduced. Now, is that 5%? Is it 25%? Is it 50%? We just don't know. So again, until you start playing the game or they give you practice, like in the past, they have occasionally given you like little diagrams and images, but that's not come with this title update. So again, we don't know how much it's been reduced. The next 2, I think, come together. Increase the frequency of attacking runs for AI players with the following role: Shadow Striker, Inside Forward Attack, Inside Forward Roaming, Wide Playmaker Attack, and Wingbacks in scenarios with open space ahead of them. And also improved AI player decision making when considering diagonal runs into open space and when considering runs into nearby open space. Again, universal thumbs up for this one.
Oh, why wasn't this there from day dot? Yeah, definitely. I think we all need this because you can see, I think we're all stuck in this weird limbo where we don't necessarily know if it's our tactics or the player roles or our players are not moving. So clearly they've experienced it and they've corrected it. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might have been Footwiz Dan posted a tweet that went kind of viral on Reddit and things yesterday where it showed his Mbappe being through on goal and then just all of a sudden making a darting run backwards 15 yards and away from the play. So this is clearly something that's needed looking at. Improved AI attacking is something we've all been crying out for years and years. And also, just to pick up on the point you said there, that this should have been in from day dot. I think this whole patch note should have been in from day dot. I think it's disgusting. Disgusting might be a bit strong. I think it's really poor that we are now, 3-4 weeks into the game cycle, and they have to dump such a huge patch on there. It screams of a game that wasn't fully finished. And again, why should we be sacrificing what is in effect 10% of the entire game cycle for a game that's clearly got huge fundamental flaws?
I've never understood why EA just doesn't run like an open beta program and get the feedback off and just take the games off everyone so no one can actually hold the game. What's the problem with it? I've really never understood that whole mechanic of just giving a few privileged people the beta access where they can't really speak about it. They can't communicate with each other. Just imagine having this information at the beta. Your sales are not going to reduce because all the pre-orders are in anyway, and people that will buy EAFC will buy EAFC. So that's the part we should have been at this space when we kicked off, not fixing this now.
And I think that point you made about communicating with each other and being allowed to talk about it is a big one, because again, it's you play the beta and you're not supposed to talk about the beta. So how do you know if someone else is having a similar problem? Maybe you report it to EA because you think it's a bug, but maybe you don't. Maybe you think, oh, it's just a one-off glitch. I'm sure that doesn't really happen. So yeah, being able to have somebody 4 or 5 weeks, and again, have the beta out 6-8 weeks before the game is out, and just put, I think again, I can't remember if it was Nepenthes or someone else that I was watching talking about this patch was talking about, have it slimmed down. Do you remember when they used to have the demos? It just used to be you just play in friendly mode against each other. Even if you just release that to see if the core mechanics of the game are working correctly, and then no one's complaining about, oh, that menu looks off or whatever. So anyway,
That's exactly right.
I'm sure it's all a PR exercise. I suspect that they don't want flaws in the game exposed and to dampen the hype of the game. It's a very clearly a thought out marketing strategy behind it. But again, from an end user experience, I don't think it's particularly acceptable that you have to make such a huge patch with a month of the game already gone. Moving along, improved accuracy of shots taken in situations when the player is not being pressured and generally has a clear line of sight of goal, including one-on-one situations and open goals. Again, no-brainer, great tweak.
Completely. The number of goals I've missed when it really boggles my mind. The keeper's off his line and I take a header and it just goes way off the goalpost and you wonder, you just think, what the hell is going on here? So, yeah, full marks.
Yeah, absolutely. The ball will get passed across the box. It'll be under no pressure and it just goes wide. Just bizarre. Improved AI centre-back decision-making when attempting to provide a safe option for a pass.
This is a complete. It almost feels like the game is gaslighting me when I have the ball at the back, and you just feel that impending doom, especially around the 88th to 89th minute. You're holding the 1-0 lead, and you just can't get the ball off the back because your defender chooses to dart forward instead of just taking a square, so they can pass the ball. So this is ridiculous. It should have been there from day dot. I'm glad it's being fixed.
Yeah, it's that familiar creep of your fellow centre-back just moving in behind the line of the striker that's just languishing. And it's like, where are you going? So yes, very well done here. Improved AI player recognition of offside situations. Again, an absolute it should have been there for day dot. Again, the amount of times you play. And it's when your player darts offside. There are two players. There's one that's onside and one offside. Where does the AI decide to send the pass? To the offside player.
Yes.
Who had no intention of passing to. But anyway, the CPU AI will look to further prioritize passing during build-up instead of dribbling. Reduce the speed of some sliding tackle animations. Again, hadn't really noticed it. Slightly increased clearance accuracy. Fair enough.
Probably, yeah.
And reduce ground pass and through pass ball velocity in wet weather, something that does not apply to us in Ultimate Team because we do not get weather effects. Address the following issues. During some long-distance shots and corners, goalkeepers faced away from the ball unintentionally. Good. In some cases, defenders could have turned and faced away from the ball instead of trying to intercept a pass. Also good. Right wing inside forward AI players did not always position themselves as intended. Again, I'll have to see what that looks like. This one, and I posted a clip on my Wimby86 Twitter account, improved referee decision making when calling for fouls and penalty kicks. I got absolutely wiped out from behind in the box for no penalty, and I watched the replay and there was no ball in it. So again,
Yes. That's happened quite a few times where you just think again the game's just gaslighting you. That's it.
Yeah. During a match, half wingers could not have changed sides when swapped. Yeah, fair enough. Players could have sometimes lost the ball too easily when making physical contact during a skill move.
Oh, this is. I shared this when I spoke about Neymar last week. This really infuriated me. Every time I did a skill move, all it needed was a slight touch by my defender, and the ball's gone, and there's no way I can get the ball back. And that really it takes the joy away from trying to attempt a skill move. So.
Yeah, the key here will be the balance, because what you don't want is people being able to roulette just through physical challenges and things like that. You don't want it to be glitchy or things like we've seen with the bridge and stuff in the past. So again, we'll have to see how that pans out. This one's a big one. I think everybody will give a cheer to. In some scenarios, goalkeepers were attempting to punch or deflect the ball instead of catching it.
Yes, yeah. Do you remember at the start of the game, people were complaining about a particular play style? If I think there's a block, I can't remember what the play style was some of the goalkeepers had, that they attributed that issue to the goalkeepers rather than the game. They said, oh, don't use goalkeepers with this sort of play style plus. No, it's just a game.
As James says in the live chat, EA Volleyball finally comes to an end. So, yes, very well done there on that one. Some passes could result in the ball traveling faster than intended. Okay. The CPU AI incorrectly ignored certain skill moves and did not perform them. Fair enough. When remaining in control of the ball after a tackle attempt by the defender, a requested lob pass could have taken longer to execute than intended. And I've had this. This is one I've experienced a few times, Shaq. You go and try and quickly get the ball away, and it just has this weird hang up.
Yeah. It just takes that extra few milliseconds to actually execute, and yeah.
Here's one where people might be really scratching their head. Some passes could have been more accurate than intended.
I disagree. I really disagree with this particular one. I read it the other way around. I read it as some passes could be more accurate than intended.
Yeah,
could have been. Yeah, I forgot.
We'll see. Right, improved animations that can occur when performing short passes. In rare scenarios, the user could have lost control of a player receiving a pass. During set pieces, an incorrect off-the-ball player animation could have occurred. Goalkeepers could have sometimes unintentionally dived the wrong way when attempting to make a save. Okay.
Coupled in with the Trivellas.
Yeah. In some dribbling situations, the CPU AI did not attempt to challenge for the ball against a user control player. Interesting. In rare cases, goalkeepers could have got stuck around the goalposts. Sometimes automatic clearance animations were occurring outside of intended heading and goal line clearance situations. CPU slider for skill moves only applied to legendary. Improved goalkeeper animations while dribbling the ball. Okay. The ball could have passed through a goalkeeper in some rare scenarios. In some rare situations, players' feet could have got stuck around the goalposts. During rush penalties, the goalkeeper could have sometimes moved off the line. During rush corners, players could have incorrectly positioned and readjusted themselves. In certain scenarios, the opposition goalkeeper... this is one that people have picked up on. In certain scenarios, the opposition goalkeeper could have been controlled during set pieces by all players.
That's ridiculous. I have seen videos of this, but I've never tried to attempt it, of course. But yeah, it's... I'm surprised they've actually
shipped. This has been shipped in a released game that you paid £80 for, by the way.
I'm surprised that they're actually calling out these things. I mean, I would just, if it were me, I would try to hide it under the carpet, just fix it quietly.
I just love it. It's always the rare situations or certain situations.
That's right.
It's that kind of get out of jail free card here. During penalty kicks, players outside the box, that was performed the correct idle animations. Oh, wow.
Who cares?
That's a big one. When a free kick timed out, sometimes the automatic action could have resulted in a pass. Players could have run up directly to the set piece taker in some scenarios. I've seen this. Nathan knows how to do this glitch. Players could have run up directly to the set piece taker in some scenarios, ignoring the minimum distance. So Nathan's doing this where you just glitch and you're basically on the corner taker. Sometimes sliding or falling shot animations could have occurred unintentionally. In some cases, defenders going to ground could have applied more pressure to the ball carrier than intended, and addressed instances of player switching not. Oh,
Oh
what
my
a
goodness.
throwaway line here. Addressed instances
I
of player switching not functioning as intended.
I didn't even look at that. I just that was probably one of the most important things, and it's just the last thing that's they've mentioned.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, look. So in specific terms, so that's general. For Ultimate Team, there are quite a few things. Lots of little bug fixes like playstyle pluses not appearing, being able to party up fixes,
Rolls
getting
plus
sent,
not showing.
getting sent to that season menu continuously, objectives showing when they've already been claimed. So little things like that. Nothing that I think is massively worth. Although I did enjoy this one that I haven't seen yet, but I wish I had. Sometimes a goalkeeper could have come up for a corner kick unintentionally. I would
Yes.
have loved to have seen that, but alas, I have not. And addressed stability issues while navigating SBCs. So, Shaq, we spent about 15 minutes talking about that. Generally, I think TLDR, or too long, didn't listen. Generally good changes, but stuff
Yeah.
that should have been in the game from day one.
Yeah. 100%. I think we all agree that it should have been there, but it's almost like we're getting something that's going to make the game better. Yes, it should have been here, but it's coming. So let's just try and take that into account. There's no point. We can't reverse. We can't go back in time. We can't reverse time. Let's just go forward. It's happening. Let's try and hope that I hope this arrives soon, because I want this to arrive before this weekend. I can't wait another weekend of playing a game that I know is not really up to it. I think that's probably what's kind of annoying, as we all knew this existed. All these issues, they were so clear as day, and it's taken them this long to fix it. So yeah, just come up with the current gen patch.
Yeah, and it'll be fascinating to see how this kind of impacts the way people attack, the general flow of the game. You know, if the attacking AI has improved that much, is it going to make for a quicker game? You know, our space is going to be opening up, our defender's going to be dragged around a bit. That's going to create more space on the ball. So you're not constantly having to be so patient with it. Is it going to speed up the overall pace of the game? It's not something that I want to get too deep into on this pod, because A, we haven't seen it, and B, we're not even 100% sure if this is coming to new gen full stop. We don't know if they might take certain things out, they might increase certain things, there might be other fixes they're adding for new gen. So it does remain to be seen, but it is clear that the positive for me is that they've addressed the fact that there are major issues with this, and it's clearly on their radar. So look, let us know what you think about the patch. Again, we will see when it comes out. As I said, we're recording this around midday-ish UK on Tuesday. So whether it gets released later this week, we do not know. But again, we have our daily shows now with John, and of course the big main show on Friday night that's released Saturday as well. Of course, you get it early if you're a Patreon member. They will address it in depth as well. I know John's got quite a lot of thoughts on this, so we will get his in-depth expertise. And he raises a good point as well, John, because he's in the live chat, and he says that's why you have to admire the bravery of Football Manager 25 being put back until March rather than release an inferior product.
I have to hand it. That was a pretty good move by FM20, the Football Manager team. I think it was a bit. I think it was a bit shocking, because I've never experienced it to be that delayed. So, good on them for realizing that they have to scale it back for a couple of months. It's a huge change from a November release to a March release. Is a big change, but good on them.
Yeah, I think it's their first major engine overhaul, almost, I think, pretty much since Football Manager launched, which would have been around 2005. So it's instead of just tweaking engines and stuff like that, basically it's the equivalent of, as we've seen with FC, it's basically been the same game since they moved to Frostbite, hasn't it? Which was around, I don't even know what FIFA it was before not before my time, but during my FIFA hiatus.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember, FIFA 2021, or was it even earlier than that?
I think it was earlier than that. But
Earlier
look,
than that.
in effect, it's, the things we talk about, how basically, EA are just building on top of old code, whereas Sports Interactive have gone back and basically rebuilding this from the bottom up. This is there. And this is what we need to set. I think it is worth talking about this in terms of EA, because this is what we've talked about in all the years I've hosted this show. Why don't EA go down and tear the game apart and build it from the ground up? And this is why, in that it's taken, an FM have known this is coming for years and it's still been delayed. The hit for EA shareholders and profits, if EA had to turn around and say, oh my goodness, we're not going to release this game till March, would be gigantic. And we're talking billions in revenue. So until EA are actually forced by external market forces, i.e. competition, or internal forces, if there for whatever reason is a huge drop off in the game, they are not going to risk, releasing a broken game or missing deadlines and stuff until they absolutely have to. So again, I do agree. I admire the bravery of Sports Interactive. They generally have seemed over the years to be a very stand-up company and very open in dealing with their user base. So again, I can understand the frustration and the difficulties from that community.
Look, I think I must take this time to actually shout out to Miles Jacobson as well. He's one of the community members where he talks to the community about the game that he's built from scratch, and he talks as a passionate gamer of the game that we all enjoy as well. So there's a different perspective that he can provide. That it hats off to him. And when things like that happen, you might say, it sucks, I just wanted to play the new game," but you just think, sure, I'll just wait for it to come, rather than this, how dare they, or none of that. I don't think a single person's complaining about the fact that it's not being released. Having said that, though, I was just trying, while you were discussing this, I was just trying to think about from an EA perspective. EA can't do that, not only from a point of view of, they're going to lose out on the revenue of the game, that's one thing, but from an Ultimate Team point of view, just imagine if you reach, say, June, July, how on earth are you going to continue the journey for the next 6 to 8 months? How are you going to continue increasing the revenue when everyone's got 99 rated squads? What are you going to do then? And that's a huge problem, which I don't think they would ever want to deal with. So, yeah.
What they would have to do is they'd have to sit down in a board meeting, I don't know, today, and say, right, here's our FC26 development team. We are going to pay a studio or hire a whole new load of people to sit here for 2 years or 3 years in advance building EAFC 27. 27 is going to be the new launch point. You've got 2.5, 3 years to work on it. Away you go. But again, are they going to want to spend those development costs?
What's the benefit? What's the benefit?
Exactly.
Exactly. What more are they going to get? They're not going to get any more revenue. Well, they might get a few more dollars here and there. They might increase the hardcores like us, the passion that we feel towards the game. But the hardcores like us, I think we're not as hardcore as we were 5 years ago. So we're not the customer base that they're trying to sell to anyway. So it's a weird,
Yeah, although just funny enough, as we're talking about competition and things like that, did you see that FIFA have quietly snuck off to Konami to host their interactive World Cup? Their esports World Cup is now going to be using eFootball for the time being.
I'm not very convinced that Konami is the same company that we grew up loving. Like you and me, I know we've had a background with Pro Evolution and the Winning 11, and we have a huge background. I don't think it's the same company that we fondly remember. So I'm not that concerned, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I should be buoyant that there's competition, but I don't think it's effective competition. I don't think.
No.
What do you think?
No, it was more just funny for me in that I think this is one of those decisions that FIFA probably thought, they were doing a really good thing. And I just think that EA are probably just laughing all the way to the bank, because maybe it's impacted their user base a tiny bit, but that's probably been offset by the license fees and stuff that they're saving on now. I just think EA have done really well. It does remind me a lot, again, going back to Football Manager, of when IDOS and Sports Interactive split off. Of course, they published Championship Manager together. And then they basically split. Sai just took the engine and everything and went and made Football Manager. And IDOS continued to pump out Championship Manager. And it was just a very inferior product, because it was basically thrown together. They handed a fairly small studio this huge license, and they were just overwhelmed by it. I actually worked a very, very tiny bit on the background of Championship Manager 5 in on their web team at the time. So I kind of had a bit of a glimpse as to what was going on behind the scenes, and they were working so damn hard. But I think it's as John has made this point on the show before about the teams like working on goals and things like that. you compare the resources they've got to these massive monster studios like EA, and it's just not even close. But anyway, we are getting sidetracked. So that is all of Title Update 3 and our thoughts on that. Let's move on to a few other little bits and pieces of news. Shaq, we are going to get a Jude Bellingham themed evolution released on November 1st. It's our latest for the club rewards. Of course, we've already had one evolution for it. You're a member of the club basically if you play FC24 FC25 before I think this Evo is released effectively, or if you played FC24 before the end of September. But yeah, it looks like a pretty good Evo.
It does. It just reminds you, as you stated to me earlier, that it's like the free Beckham card that we received 2 years ago, who was amazing till we actually tried to use him in game. Who was amazing for 1 week, and then you were stuck in between a rock and a hard place where you want to put him in an SBC, but you're really looking at this card that's cool looking card that you can't really chuck away into an SVC, so just stuck in your club. Same like the Haaland last year. So yeah, it is what it is. It's good that we're getting something, but I'm not expecting it to be groundbreaking at all.
Yeah, we'll remain to be seen what the requirement stuff are, but it does say that it'll improve skill moves, weak foot, pace, shooting, defending, and more, whilst giving you a relentless playstyle plus and playmaker plus. So again, as someone that is slowly evoing my Reading players, I very much welcome the chance to put someone like Charlie Savage into this Evo. They probably won't fit because it'll probably be a restrictive rarity between 80 and 82 born in the month of July, whilst having no more than 1-star weak foot and 1-star skill moves. And
the only person
you have to play 37. You have to play 37 friendlies to unlock it.
The only other person that would have been happier about hearing that, apart from Charlie Savage himself, would be Robbie Savage, who probably be excited that someone somewhere is evoing his son and getting excited about that.
Yeah, look, I'm diligently working away on my Reading Evos. I've got Lewis Wing up to an 82, Amadou and Bengaze up to an 84, and this one of the rush ones, the defensive big pace boost, has gone on Tyler Binden. But oh my word, trying to get assists with that player, his passing is so terrible. I need to play with you guys because, oh God, can we just rant for 2 minutes about if you're listening to this and you AFK in Rush, you are not welcome to listen to this. Unless you go and sign up for the very top tier of our Patreon, turn off now because I'm sick of you. I am absolutely sick of you. And the worst one was some guy who got 1 assist the other day and then went AFK.
That's even worse.
Get in the bin. Get in the bin. You're all terrible. Stop it. Stop being so unbelievably selfish. Anyway, that's my rant.
Yeah, the AFK in Rush is just killing the fun of the game more, to be honest. But hey, hopefully. But I think you can't blame. Can you blame EA for that though? I can't.
Yeah. No, it is on the community, but EA should very much recognize that when you are handing out rewards to players for doing nothing, that this will be a consequence of it, and not having a kick mechanic as most other games do is shocking. But John again mentioned that this has apparently been a problem in dropping games in clubs, pro clubs for years, and they haven't addressed it. So we shouldn't be surprised at it. But for other people, again, yeah, you're right. It is on the user base. You should just be a decent human being.
Just play. What are you playing the game for? What are you turning it on if you're not going to play? I don't understand that. And I think we need to have some sort of honor system or rank system where at the end of each game we give like an Uber rating or something for our teammates. And that way it just stays, and you need to have a certain amount of rating, and
that's a really good
particular idea. Rating will only play with a particular rating. So if you are rated at a 1, you only play with 1. So all of you can AFK together and have fun. If you're rating it a 5, you play with the 5 people that are playing really well, that want to play well, that want to pass. So, yeah.
I very much agree. We touched on Evos. Again, thank you to everyone who has submitted questions in the mailbag. Again, the best place to go to is we have a podcast questions section in the Discord. Ingvi asked, where do you think EA are going with Evos this year? Started so promising, and now it just feels like a mess. Shaq, any thoughts from you?
Oh, yeah. Look, I Honestly, this at the start of this year, I really started to get into Evos. I wanted to do the thing that you were doing with the Reading players. I wanted to do that with my small little club called Man United. I wanted to have a different Evo. I wanted to have a full Evo squad of Man United players. And I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to spend some coins or FC points or whatever it is to Evo these players, buy them from the market. And it's coming to a stage where, yeah, sure, I've got some really cool cards that I enjoy playing. But the requirements, for example, the Joe Linton one that we recently got, I forget the name of that evolution, where you have to play a whole buttload of games to
The
try and get
Great
through.
Guti.
Yeah, you have to play something in a friendly cup to try and get this player evolved. And 24 wins, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 20 odd wins. And it's a paid Evo where you pay 50 or 60,000 coins to get it done. That's just not it. And also, you're not able to choose whoever the hell you want anyway. So I'm not really sure where it's going. I thought we had a huge, we discussed this on the show that it's going to be a huge sea change for evolutions. You would have a great time. People like you, people like all the Norwegian boys who like to Evo, their own Norwegian players would have a great time, but it's not. We're not getting there.
Yeah, so I am, of course, desperately trying to Evo as many Reading players as I can. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 current Evos out that not a single Reading Football Club player fits into. Now, it's Reading's fault for not having Spanish players. So La Roja, I'll give them a pass on. I understand the theme of this season is Spanish, and we have a Spanish manager, but no Spanish players. So fair enough. But the joke that I can't put a single Reading player into forward fortification is annoying. We don't have a recognised left back, so again, maybe I'll give them a pass on that one. The cannon, again, we don't. It's either we don't have anyone that's a right winger, or we don't have someone that fits into the modifications. A Magic Knight, again, it's a rare gold, so I can't. We're not a rare gold club, so but that is disappointing. And the whole thing that they sold this game on, well, not the whole thing, but on evolutions in this game was it was going to be more. It's going to be less restrictive, and so far, I'm yet to see real massive evidence of this, and maybe this will start to creep in as we get deeper into the game and they open it up a bit more. I definitely think that EA is still scared of what they saw last year with those Evo chains, where in November, December, wasn't it? We were seeing like 90 rated players. Yeah. So I understand why they're a bit gun shy about that. But honestly, you had no... I would be fascinated to hear the reason why this forward fortification has to be defensive max 49 when you're handing out a 21 defending boost. How is it any different that you're going to allow Fran Kirby to be 69 defensive, but I can't have a Harvey Nibbs capped at... Because you're capping it anyway at 70. So why don't you let me Evo, even if it only gives Harvey Nibbs 10 extra defense? Like, it's garbage. I'm sorry, but it is garbage.
Yeah. There are certain bits. I saw something floating on Twitter today where there was a striker from Germany that had better defending stats than a Rio Ferdinand icon. It's just it's really bizarre. Like these sorts of things, surely you can't test every single player, but you have some sort of parameters of what you actually allow for these cards to be evoed up to. So you're kind of blocking that 99 thing happening. It's not going to happen. Yet you're messing up and not allowing the free flowing thing where people can choose whatever player they want. So they're missing on both the targets, which is weird. Like it's really like it's almost like half-assing it.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on in the mailbag to Adam, who says, would you lads say SBCs have been priced more expensively this year compared to past games? Feels like so many SBCs have overpriced and really underwhelming. He says, I have done the Varane and the Turan brothers. Varane was really expensive, but sentimental value contributed to my decision. And the Turan bros were two very good priced ones. The exceptions, maybe as well, a Wobie. Thoughts on SBC pricing?
I think they have really rethought their strategy with SBCs. And I think people are just assuming that because we have this duplicate storage that the SBCs are more expensive. Part of it, yes, but we have also had really cheap SBCs. Like both the Thuram brothers combined are less than 75k or 80k at the most. And they're really good cards. I think what EA has done really cleverly this year is they've priced certain SBCs low enough that you do multiples of them. So if you do a Thuram, you do another Thuram. Because you've done these two Thurams, you might as well do a Varane. So that's the kind of snooker hole that I've fallen into, where I don't have enough fodder to complete Thuram now. I'm sorry, to complete Varane now, where I'm still eking away at that. And the same thing's happened for a lot of other people who've done the Morgan SBC, Alex Morgan, and also thought, I've done Morgan, so I might as well do Swanson. And then eventually you get stuck and snookered where you don't really have enough fodder, but you really want to try these cards and you've already invested all your duplicates into that. Where do you go? The store. So it's a really clever strategy, and it's kind of is working because there are some SBCs out there that you can get. For example, Foden's SBC was quite cheap. Today's Iwobi SBC is fairly cheap, but and if you look at Iwobi's SBC, it's very, very clever. It looks cheap, but it needs 3 team of the weeks. It's very cheap. And I think they've become very smart with the SBC selection as well. So I don't know. I think it is overpriced, yes, but I also think, as John, the leader foot coaching, keeps telling us, we don't have to participate with every single piece of content. We just can't. We just shouldn't think that every single piece of content needs to be interacted with.
Yeah, I think this year's been a little bit different as well because we have seen 2 end of an era players in Varane and Morgan that we haven't seen that caliber of an end of an era. Just, happened to be circumstance. Varane retiring after a freak injury on the first day of the season, and Alex Morgan finding out she's pregnant and then having to retire very quickly. So it's not like EA could plan, but also it would be a bit weird marking their end of an era 2-3 months from now when they're completely kind of, it's been forgotten about. So that has added to it. But otherwise, yeah. And yeah, we've got SBC duplicate storage, the rewards and stuff are better than ever before. There are so many ways to get packs. But I think, yeah, if you're sitting there thinking, I'm missing out, like I think in Adam's example, I think that's good. If you've managed to get those 3 players done, I think you're doing well. I'd hate it actually. I think if everybody could do all of these SBCs, because then you would see clone teams.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. I think, where do you stand with this argument that we don't necessarily have to interact with every single SBC in the sense, from an accomplishment point of view?
Absolutely fine. I'm sitting here with, I've only done 2 SBCs this year. I've did the Garcia, the CDM, and I've done Cole Palmer. I did Cole Palmer this week. He might be my player in review, actually. He'll be a co-player in review. Because I thought they both fitted my team and they were necessary. Otherwise, I think it's nice to be able to just go, well, that's a good card, but I will wait for something. I think it just all feeds into this whole, I need to have the new thing. I need to have the new thing. I need to have the new thing. I don't want to miss out. What if they're great? What if they're great? I think you just need to sit back and go, unless that player you've got a real attachment to them or it feels the need in your team. Again, don't feel the need to rush out and go and do it.
Fair point. I think, yeah, I've unintentionally done that this year. I really want to do everything, but I just can't. So I'm just pacing myself and doing things as quickly as I can, the ones I want to do. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of quickly as we can, we are rapidly running out of time. Adam did have another question as well. Why does EA almost always make attacking mechanics worse than updates and fixes, but rarely improves them? Also, why do they almost never nerf defensive mechanics? He also caveats that by saying, I know they're going to reduce 5 at the back's effectiveness, but this feels like it's a rare thing for them to do.
Look, I think we come from the point of view where we're struggling against really good players, so it makes it really hard for us to actually attack. Whereas you put yourself in someone's shoes who's just picked up the game and is just being scored on left, right, and center. They want some support from their goal line being attacked so they can continue to play the game. So from that perspective, it makes sense what EA is doing. Again, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it makes sense. From their point of view, they're looking at all the different levels of player, and it makes sense to make it easier for the lower skill players to have some sort of support and defense. Understandable.
Yeah, I very much agree on that. Right, it is time, as we rapidly come towards the end of the show, to get to, if I can cue it up, cheering, because it is now time. Go away, cheering. I don't want to hear you. This one. Player in review. It's amazing I will go to a sting of my own voice as opposed to just doing it live and messing up the entire show. But Again, if you subscribe to our Patreon, maybe you can hire a better host or pay for some, I don't know, training or something for me. I don't know. Let's get to player review then, Shaq. Who have you picked this week?
I've picked someone that's an SBC player. Lo and behold, I said SBC. I'm not interacting with every content, but again, I selectively have done this SBC because she fit in my squad, and I needed a player that had Quick Step Plus, and it's none other than Ebony Salmon, and she is incredible. I really have enjoyed using her. I did the SBC because I was very excited about Lauren James that I spoke about last week, and she fit in really well with the squad, and she was playing extremely well when the speed boost was all well and go. And since then, I've started using her for what she was, who is a really quick player who's got quick step plus, I might add, who's got really good finishing, a 4-star weak foot, and also has decent passing accuracy, decent jumping accuracy, 91 acceleration, 90 sprint speed, and she can finish really well. And I think the thing that really sets her aside is she's got 2 play styles in silver that are important. I think the technical is decent, but the press proven as a striker who's small and nimble, I can't tell you how good that is to have someone with those sorts of capabilities at she's $25,000, 25,000 coins to do the SBC. I think if you have a need for someone like a super sub or even someone that can fit in your, I think she's a must do.
Excellent. Nice endorsement there. I might well have to complete for my inevitable Fran Kirby evolution at some stage. Actually, Fran Kirby fits in Evo right now. In that defensive boost one. I think that's who I use that player, that Evo on. My 2 players for player review. My main one is going to be Dennis Bergkamp. I did one of the 4U packs with coins, and you get to pick an icon for 4 days. Dennis Bergkamp was probably the best player from my pick. I can't even remember who the other one was. So I thought, great, he can go in at Cam this week. I was already playing the Edamar there, so kind of fits in nicely. Just didn't gel with him, Shaq, at all. The pace is only 83. Maybe it was that. The shooting at 89 was decent. 4-star, 4-star. Had a playstyle plus. A role plus in Shadow Striker, which is where I was playing him. Now, circling back all the way to the patch, maybe Dennis Bergkamp will be better after the patch when they are improving the runs and the AI of Shadow Strikers. So this might be a very outdated review, but for the very current way the game plays, I thought Myanmar was just better. And so just would not really recommend him. I think he's about 450,000 coins.
Yeah.
I would not pay that right now.
He's expensive. Usually the way I've looked at the market this year is if someone's expensive, even if it be an icon or not, I would expect them to be fairly decent in game. So it's thank you for that review.
It might be that, again, I'm using him at Cam in Shadow Striker. He's got a plus as an advanced forward, so maybe as part of a 2-striker formation in that role, he performs better. But in a 4-2-3-1, Cam, Shadow Striker, meh, stay away.
Yeah, I think as a striker with the first touch, I can see probably that might help with the Trivella. Anyway, yeah, thanks for that.
The other brief review I wanted to do was Cole Palmer,
yes,
player
please.
of the month. Again, I used him in a role plus as the inside forward on the right. And the big thing is, of course, he's left-footed, which isn't great. He's got things like a whipped pass plus, but it's not ideal when you're, on the byline trying to get the ball in and you've got him on his weak foot. The dead ball plus is nice. Generally feels classy on the ball. The 2 big things that hold this card back are the pace and the stamina as well. Very quick drain. He's already back on my bench. Chloe Kelly's in. Again, for the way I play, Chloe Kelly, I think, is much better. But I still think it's an SBC worth doing because I think he's very nice coming off the bench. And I think if you were playing him probably as a main cam, it might be better.
I've got 2 questions for you regarding that SBC because a lot of people might be considering that particular SBC. Question number 1, what about his dead ball playstyle plus? Is it a must?
It's fine. But I think the guys pointed this out on Friday's show. I think his free kick accuracy, his free kick accuracy is only 80. So it's still not ideal. It's not totally cold in that regard.
Oh, nice one there.
So, yeah.
And question 2, if you had a choice between Palmer, SBC, or Phil Foden gold card, which one do you prefer? Or which one would you pick?
Foden.
A lot of people have said that. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that.
Yeah. But again, if you're coming to the edge of your SBC dupe storage, and you're looking for a player, again, I think he's a very good player. And this is also a card that you could see fitting into an Evo at some stage later in the game as well. So an easy one for me to stash and move on. But speaking of moving on, I think that just about does us for this week's show. Shaq, any closing thoughts or anything you wanted to add?
Oh, simple thing that as I started off at the start of the show, if you don't feel like interacting with every single mode of this game, I don't think we should be expected to complete every single mode this time. Just take it easy, do the things that you want to do, and don't feel like you're going to miss out on anything. Dan, I'm not trying to rip on your back luck, but you did champs. You did really well in champs. Did you pack anything noteworthy?
I didn't really. I got 8 and 7, and absolutely not. I think the best thing I got was an 86 Sadio Mane team of the week. I did not get a single other walkout.
Yeah.
Oh no! Well, that's a lie. I made 2 86 plus packs. Both of them were 86s.
Ooh. There you go. Yeah, there you go. So just don't get if you're not qualifying for champs, if you don't have the time to play for champs, just don't have the FOMO. Just let it be. Just enjoy the game for what it is.
Indeed. And yeah, good luck getting all of your rewards. I just made up to Div 2 about half an hour before we recorded this show. I then got relegated straight away because that is the Reading way. We like to get promoted and then get relegated straight away. So
No. I think we need to focus on the fact that you got to Div 2. Well done, champ. That's a celebration in itself. Let's just forget the part that you played a game and got relegated. Let's just edit that out. John, if you're listening, please remove that wording. We've got a Division 2 player right here talking to me. We're with royalty right now.
Yeah,
well done.
Definitely not go that far. The annoying thing was, Shaq, I had 44 points. So if I just had one more point, I could have just sat in Div 2 until Thursday and taken the forward. So I will see if I can get that one remaining win to get myself elevated. But yeah, very much to echo what Shaq said. Please try and avoid the FOMO if you can. It remains to be seen how this patch will change things. Looks like there's some interesting SBCs and bits and pieces on the way as well, including rumours of an icon pack perhaps coming this week. So that'll be interesting if that comes. Again, the daily content shows will cover all of that. The Friday show will be back, of course, released Saturday morning for non-Patreon members. And Shaq, hopefully, we'll be back on Tuesday for another Tuesday Club. Hopefully, Nathan will be back with us.
Looking forward to it.
Excellent. In which case, there remains just one thing left to do, Shaq.
Drop it.
We are going to drop it. Take care, everybody.
Drop it.
F-U-T. F-U-T. F-F-F-U-T. F-U-T. T. T. In the view. F-U-T.